Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Well guys, you just can't make this stuff up. You know, life is so much stranger than even the movies. And every time we see something unusual happen, all of a sudden we get this news release about something that may or may not be related to it, but sure sounds suspicious. So Japan launches a satellite to create artificial meteor shower. You're kidding me. What did we just see yesterday? What do we see down in Venezuela? You know, was that a meteor? Was it a missile? Was it natural? Was it artificial? But right now, you know, we look at the news here out of the Independent, and this is being reported in numerous places. It's all about a rocket that's going to carry a satellite, which is going to be able to basically shoot out these little pellets, for lack of a better word, and basically end up making it look like a meteor shower coming down to Earth. You know, you putting all these pieces together, we've talked about how they have to kind of let us know what they're doing, and it really does seem to be the case. You know, here we have this news, and I don't know. I mean, it just makes you wonder, you know, what's really going on. And with the whole situation that we see with all the Earth changes, you know, obviously there's so much going on geopolitically as well. You know, what is really natural and what is completely artificial and totally man-made? So, meteor showers. Okay. And, you know, we have so much going on Earth change wise, as we have seen for quite a while, and really I question everything now. Everything. Hailstorm destroys 150 homes, injures 40 people in 60 seconds. 150 homes destroyed, 40 people injured in just a minute time in India. That is a super intense, fast moving storm. And this is in the Uttar Pradesh area. India, as we were talking about, gets kind of lost in the mix, but with Indonesia, because Indonesia's just been hammered, but really so has India as well. In the last year or so, it's just been non-stop. One thing after another. We have deadly floods hit the Fadlan Valley in Saudi Arabia, and we had seen flowers blooming in the desert in Saudi Arabia. And a lot of floods going on in areas that don't usually flood like they do, and massive floods that have taken a lot of life. And there's videos here for you guys to check out, as well as, you know, the deserts. It's going to be probably a lot of desert areas that are going to be blooming and transformed. And then undoubtedly, there's going to be areas that are above sea level that will be at the bottom of the sea. And as was predicted, new lands will rise also to the surface. Do you know they have a massive polar bear invasion going on that actually prompted a state of emergency in Russia? Yep, kid you not. A massive polar bear invasion. Yeah, you would definitely want to know about that before you go venturing outside, or let your kids go venturing outside, especially if these guys are hungry. There's videos here as well. And as they say, they don't normally hunt humans, but you just never know if they're very hungry. And with bears too, if they have any young around, you know, that changes the situation, makes it much more potentially deadly. So we have a tropical cyclone, Galuna, bringing widespread flooding and leaving Rodriguez without power. And this is in the southwest Indian Ocean. And so this brought 115-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rain, and left 90% of the island's inhabitants without power. 142 people have been evacuated to refugee centers, but there's no reports of fatalities or serious injuries, thankfully. And then here we have a video, we have two videos that show this deep sinkhole just develop in a river and just swallow the river up. Pretty wild. We've seen this in many locations now around the globe. And the ground is giving way beneath our feet more and more often. And speaking of states of emergency, Washington had declared a state of emergency because of the snow. And Washington and Oregon both getting slammed with the weather. So we see a dog licking up the snow there. So this is the biggest snowstorm since February 2017. And snow totals range from 6 to 10 inches, basically in the Seattle area, about 4 inches in Portland. And this was a major storm. And more than 60,000 people lost power during the storm as well. As you can see them measuring it with the ruler there, and we see the, well, actually you see a naval air station there on Whidbey Island. And speaking of that, thank you guys for letting me know about unusual military air traffic, and there is a lot of it going on. There's reports of Patriot Minuteman missile being brought down to the North Carolina coast, wondering if they are heading out somewhere. There's a lot of military movement going on that's very interesting. Different flights as well going on in areas that don't usually see military planes. I am getting many emails about that, and I just wanted to share with you guys. So again, you know, keep your eyes to the skies and make note of it. There is something big happening. I was watching Israeli news live, and he was reporting about these things as well. I've seen the North Carolina Patriot missile thing from several sources now. And also they're talking about ships bringing a lot of tanks and a lot of weaponry heading towards possibly either Syria to be used perhaps against Iran or Turkey. So, you know, in the Mediterranean, heading over that way, things are brewing. Things are definitely brewing. I just wanted to make a quick note so I didn't forget about that, and we'll head back to the earth changes in the weather. And state of emergency declared in Grand Rapids. This is up in Michigan as well. And so, you know, we've seen extremes. I mean, it was crazy. We've been like in the 70s. We went from 77 degrees to the next day a high of 43. Right now it's kind of an icy rain and just above the freezing level. So it's a yo-yo. And that's what we're going to get. You know, we're going to get more of these extremes both ways. Extreme highs, extreme lows, extreme storms. That's going to be the norm, and that is the norm. And so Harrison Ford delivering an apocalyptic climate change warning, you know, again talking about it's getting too late. And so, you know, there are those that believe he's an Illuminati spokesperson as well. And so, you know, does he have an agenda? Of course, anybody in Hollywood got to question, you know, their motives as well, because Hollywood is most definitely a tool of the powers that be. It's Harvard scientists moving ahead on plans for atmospheric geoengineering experiments, and this is from 2017, right? It's almost 2 years old, and the article is all about it's high time we launch reflective particles up into the atmosphere, you know, so we could alleviate global warming. And we wish we did it 10 years ago. It's like, come on, they've been doing this for 30 years, 40 years, a long time. In my memory, it's going back to the 80s, though it wasn't like it is now. It's gone to an absolute, complete new level. But I do remember when I lived up in Connecticut, seeing it going on. And then when I moved to South Carolina, and I was out in the country, but relatively close to Columbia, and you know, the capital. And you come in. At that time, I had a Honda. Shadow that I used to love to just ride through the hills there, just beautiful country roads. And then you come on in close to town, and then you would just see the all the chemtrails spraying. You know, they didn't bother back in the day out in the country. Now it seems they want to just plaster everybody. You know, even a tiny town of 1,000, you'll still see the chemtrails going over. And materials such as sulfur dioxide, alumina, calcium carbonate, shooting it up into the stratosphere. What are we going to do with them? So, deadly disease that turns deer into zombies have spread to 26 states, new report warns, amid fears it could one day be transmitted to humans. And I swear I saw reports years ago about people getting this, hunters getting it years ago. So, I think it is transferable. I do remember it's a chronic wasting disease, which we've seen. It's very much, very similar to what we see with mad cow. And so it's like a prion, which again just kind of deteriorates the brain, and it's something that does lead to death. Scary stuff. And so it's in 24 states right there is what they were saying, and 26 they're saying up here. I would be really careful, and you know, for those of you that are meat eaters, I don't know. I would have a problem eating the deer meat because of it. And again, is this something that has been done by nature or not? Is it like you guys? I've had quite a few of you guys that have come straight out and said this is part of their plan. Whether it's the red tide, whether it's Fukushima radiation, you know, it's just one food source after another being lost left and right across. You know, we've seen tremendous crop damage. You know, it's just been nonstop everywhere we look, from every direction. And so nickel and died. Earth's largest extinction likely took plants first, and what they're saying was it was a volcanic eruption that put a lot of nickel into the atmosphere, and the Great Dying Period. And so they've detected a lot of nickel, and they think it was a volcanic eruption that did it, and it drove a lot of the plant life to extinction nearly 400,000 years before most of the marine species perished. And when we look at it, and I'm seeing photos coming in from everywhere, and thank you guys for sharing as well, those of, you know, trees dying in mass, and you know, in areas that were always healthy, you know, whether it's Connecticut, Ohio, you know, the Carolinas, Colorado, New Mexico, there's trees down in droves, Arizona, California, and I really suspect it's something atmospheric. I think it has a lot to do with what's being sprayed in the skies, and it's most definitely affecting the plant life. And it's a real sad thing as well. So this is something else I'm hearing from a ton of people, that they're feeling lonely, and part of the period of time that we're in is one that in many circles, many more spiritual circles, we view it as a period of possible ascension, but definitely rapid consciousness change. And so we're being basically forced in some ways to reflect in upon ourselves and everything. Everything feels more intense, and it's part of the times. Of course, you know, if you're looking at the news, it's going to make you stressed out. So as we've said, you know, time and time again, it's really important we do things that are going to shift us and shift our brain away from over processing everything that's around us. And you know, we're getting bombarded with chemicals in the sky, and we're getting bombarded with 5G waves, and we're getting bombarded with cosmic rays that are stronger than they've ever been in our lifetimes and in thousands of years. You know, it's just nonstop. And so we need to find ways to basically de-stress, deprogram, you know, kind of allow ourselves to get away from it all and to process. And so many people are really having a hard time with this, and you know, getting bouts of depression, or just feeling like there's nobody in the world that understands them. And of course, if you're a truther / conspiracy theorist, of course, there's a big portion of the world that thinks that you're crazy and they can't relate to you. And right now, there are so many people coming awake in droves. It's just amazing, and you're having heightened perceptive abilities because of all these changes. I've told you before about that CIA study that showed, and they did a study years ago, classified, it's been declassified, but it showed that they knew what was going to come in this time period. They know we're going to be exposed to a lot more cosmic radiation than we have, and what's it going to do to us? How's it going to change people? And so it really, what happens is it affects our DNA, and we become basically more psychic and more perceptive, and also more sensitive, more empathetic perhaps as well. So there's a lot that we're processing right now. And as this article says, feeling lonely, you're not alone. That is something that's real common. And so changing gears over here, for those of you that are in an apartment or a condo and you've thought, well, what can I possibly do to prep? What can I possibly do? I can't prep. I'm in an apartment, but you can. There's things you can do, and this is about homesteading in an apartment, and this is at an urban survival site. And check this out. My God, it looks like you're in a jungle, but that's somebody's apartment.
If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.